It was a day like any other, or so it seemed. People were scrolling through their phones, sipping coffee, and going about their lives when something extraordinary happened. Elon Musk, the man behind Tesla, SpaceX, and countless futuristic ideas, stepped onto a stage at SpaceX headquarters in California. This wasn't just another tech event, it was different. You could feel it in the air. The room was packed with reporters, engineers, investors, and curious onlookers who had no idea what they were about to hear. Musk walked up to the podium without his usual swagger. He looked calm but serious, almost as if he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then he began to speak. His voice was steady, but every word felt heavy, like he was delivering news that would change everything. And honestly, he was. He started by talking about humanity's biggest challenges: climate change, overpopulation, resource depletion, all the things people either worried about or tried to ignore. But then, he dropped a bombshell. Humanity needs a backup plan, he said, pausing for effect. And that backup plan is Mars. Everyone leaned forward in their seats. They'd heard him talk about Mars before, but this time it felt urgent, almost desperate. Then came the part that left everyone speechless. Musk announced that within 6 months he would personally lead humanity's first interplanetary colonization mission to Mars. Not robots, not unmanned probes, but actual humans, himself included. The crowd erupted into murmurs. Was this real? Could it even be possible? Before anyone could process what they'd just heard, Musk added one final sentence that sent chills down everyone's spine. "Before I go." That phrase hung in the air long after he finished speaking. It wasn't just dramatic, it sounded final, like he knew something nobody else did. Reporters scrambled to ask questions, but Musk didn't stick around to answer them. He simply walked off the stage, leaving everyone stunned. The internet exploded within minutes. Social media feeds lit up with reactions ranging from excitement to skepticism. Some called it the most ambitious project in human history, while others dismissed it as another eccentric billionaire's pipe dream. News channels replayed clips of the announcement over and over again, trying to dissect every word. What did "before I go" mean? Why was he doing this now? Was it a publicity stunt, or was there more to it? As the days passed, details began to trickle out. Insiders revealed that Musk had been working on this plan for years, quietly assembling a team of the best minds in science and engineering. They worked tirelessly, hidden away from prying eyes, preparing for a journey unlike anything humanity had ever attempted. But there were also whispers, rumors that made people uneasy. People close to Musk claimed that he hadn't been himself lately. He spent long nights alone, often staring out at the stars through the massive windows at SpaceX's Starbase facility. Friends said he talked about mortality more than usual, reflecting on life, death, and what it meant to leave a lasting impact. There were even rumors about his health, though nothing concrete surfaced. All these hints added up to one unsettling possibility. Maybe Musk believed this mission was his last chance to make a difference, not just for humanity, but for himself. Despite the uncertainty, preparations moved ahead at breakneck speed. Engineers tested rockets, scientists fine-tuned life support systems, and volunteers signed up for the risky journey. The whole world watched, unable to look away. Whether you loved him or thought he was crazy, you couldn't deny that Musk had captured humanity's imagination in a way few others ever had. For some, the mission represented hope, a bold step toward ensuring our species' survival. For others, it raised uncomfortable questions. Why was he risking everything, including his own life, for this? Did he know something we didn't? And what exactly did he mean by "before I go"? These questions lingered in the minds of millions, fueling endless debates and speculations. One thing was certain: whatever happened next, the world would never forget the day Elon Musk stood on that stage and dared to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. Little did anyone know, this was only the beginning of a story that would unfold in ways no one could have predicted. As the shockwaves of Elon Musk's announcement rippled across the globe, People couldn't stop talking about it. Conversations buzzed everywhere, from coffee shops to classrooms, from Twitter threads to late-night TV shows. Everyone wanted answers. Who was this man who claimed he'd lead humanity to Mars? What drove him to take such a monumental risk? And why did his words feel so heavy? Journalists and investigators dug deeper, piecing together clues about Musk's life that painted a picture far more complex than anyone had imagined. Slowly, stories started surfacing. Stories told by those who knew him well, people who had worked closely with him or crossed paths with him at pivotal moments in his career. These accounts revealed a side of Musk that few outsiders ever saw. 1. Recurring theme emerged. Musk wasn't just driven by ambition, he seemed haunted by something. Former colleagues described how he often spoke about legacy, not just building companies or inventing groundbreaking technologies, but leaving behind something permanent, something timeless. He always talked about making sure humanity didn't disappear, one insider recalled. But lately it felt like he was talking about himself too. Friends shared moments where Musk opened up about his fears. In quiet conversations over dinner or during long drives, he mused about mortality, about how short life really is compared to the vastness of space and time. He once confided in a close associate that he sometimes felt like he was running out of time. At first, these comments were brushed off as philosophical musings typical of someone working on projects decades ahead of their time. But now, with the Mars mission looming, they took on new meaning. Then there were the changes in behavior. Over the past year, people noticed that Musk spent less time celebrating victories and more time alone, lost in thought. Employees at SpaceX reported seeing him wander through the facility late at night, staring at the stars through the giant observation windows. It wasn't uncommon for staff to find him scribbling notes or sketching designs on scraps of paper, completely absorbed in his work. One engineer joked that Musk seemed to live half in this world and half somewhere else entirely. Rumors swirled about Musk's health. Some claimed he had been diagnosed with a serious condition, though nothing official came out. Others speculated that the stress of running multiple billion-dollar companies was taking its toll. Whatever the truth, it became clear that Musk viewed this Mars mission not just as a professional goal but as deeply personal, a way to confront whatever demons he was battling. The phrase "before I go" lingered in everyone's minds, refusing to fade away. What did it mean? Was it a hint at his own mortality, a nod to some deeper spiritual realization, or simply poetic license to add drama to the announcement? No one knew for sure, but it tapped into universal human emotions. Everyone could relate to the idea of wanting to leave a mark before it's too late. Musk's words resonated because they touched on something fundamental: the fear of being forgotten, of disappearing without having made a difference. Amidst all the speculation, another layer of complexity emerged. Those closest to Musk described him as both visionary and vulnerable. On one hand, he was the guy who dreamed bigger than anyone else, pushing boundaries and defying limits. On the other hand, he was someone burdened by guilt and regret. Longtime associates revealed that Musk often reflected on mistakes he'd made along the way, business decisions that hurt employees, strained relationships with loved ones, missed opportunities to connect with his children. "He carries a lot of weight," one friend said. "You can see it in his eyes when he thinks no one's looking. He wants to fix things not just for the world but for himself." As details trickled out, public opinion shifted. People began to see Musk not just as a larger-than-life figure, but as a flawed, multi-dimensional human being. For some, this made him more relatable. For others, it raised questions about whether he was fit to lead such a dangerous mission. Could someone carrying so much emotional baggage truly handle the immense responsibility of guiding humanity to another planet? Despite the growing concerns, Musk remained laser-focused on the mission. Every waking moment seemed dedicated to preparation. He poured endless energy into overseeing every detail, from spacecraft design to crew selection. Yet even as he worked tirelessly, glimpses of vulnerability slipped through. During rare interviews, his voice cracked when discussing the stakes of the mission. His eyes welled up when asked about what failure might mean. for him personally, and for humanity as a whole. Some critics argued that Musk's determination bordered on obsession. They pointed to reports of engineers quitting due to unrelenting pressure and tight deadlines. Others accused him of prioritizing Mars over pressing issues back on Earth: poverty, inequality, climate change. But supporters countered that Musk's vision extended beyond immediate problems. By securing humanity's future on another planet, he aimed to address challenges that spanned generations. For many, the most compelling aspect of Musk's story wasn't the destination, it was the journey itself. Here was a man grappling with his own limitations while striving to achieve something unimaginable. Whether motivated by altruism, ego, or a mix of both, his actions forced people to reflect on their own lives. If Elon Musk could dream of reaching Mars despite his struggles, what were the rest of us capable of achieving? As the countdown to liftoff continued, the world held its breath. The mystery surrounding Musk deepened, drawing people further into his orbit. Love him or hate him, no one could deny that he was writing a chapter of history unlike any other. And though uncertainty loomed large, one thing was certain. Whatever happened next, Elon Musk's quest for Mars would leave an indelible mark, not just on humanity's future, but on our understanding of what it means to be human. The clock was ticking. With less than 3 months to go until the scheduled launch, the world watched with bated breath as SpaceX ramped up preparations for what many were calling humanity's most daring adventure yet. The mission, dubbed Operation Exodus, wasn't just about sending a rocket into space. It was about rewriting the future of our species. Every detail mattered, every decision carried weight, and every second counted. At the heart of it all was Elon Musk, whose presence loomed larger than ever. He seemed to be everywhere at once, walking through SpaceX's sprawling facilities, reviewing blueprints in dimly lit conference rooms, and huddling with engineers over technical challenges. Yet there was something different about him now. Gone was the brash confidence that had defined him for years. In its place was a quiet intensity, an almost palpable sense of urgency. It was as if he knew time was slipping away, not just for the mission but for himself. Musk's decision to personally lead the expedition shocked nearly everyone. Some saw it as heroic, a billionaire willing to risk everything alongside his crew. Others called it reckless, questioning whether someone so central to multiple global enterprises should gamble their life on such a perilous journey. Critics pointed out that his absence could destabilize Tesla, SpaceX, and other ventures that relied heavily on his leadership. Supporters countered that this was exactly why he had to go, to inspire others, to show that even the richest man in the world wasn't above rolling up his sleeves and taking risks for the greater good. But behind closed doors, tension simmered. Inside SpaceX, whispers spread among employees about the immense pressure they were under. Engineers worked around the clock, fueled by caffeine and sheer determination, to meet Musk's aggressive timeline. Deadlines that would normally take years were being crunched into weeks. Sleep became a luxury few could afford, and stress levels soared. There were reports of heated arguments between teams, disagreements over priorities, and concerns about cutting corners to stay on schedule. Some insiders grew increasingly uneasy. A handful of senior engineers quietly expressed doubts about certain aspects of the spacecraft's design. They worried that rushing the process might compromise safety, especially given the harsh conditions of deep space travel. These fears weren't unfounded. Space exploration had always been fraught with danger, and Mars presented unique challenges. Temperatures on the red planet could plummet to -80 degrees Fahrenheit. Radiation levels were dangerously high, and the thin atmosphere offered little protection against cosmic threats. Any flaw in the ship's systems could spell disaster. Despite these concerns, Musk remained steadfast. When questioned about potential risks, he brushed them aside, insisting that perfection wasn't possible but progress was essential. "We can't wait for perfect conditions," he told a group of nervous engineers during one late-night meeting. "If we do, we'll never leave." His words inspired some, but left others feeling uneasy. Was he prioritizing speed over safety? Or did he truly believe that humanity's survival depended on taking bold action, even if it meant accepting uncertainty? As the launch date approached, Another layer of intrigue unfolded: the selection of the crew. This wasn't going to be your typical astronaut mission composed solely of seasoned professionals. Instead, Musk envisioned a diverse team representing humanity as a whole. Alongside trained pilots and scientists, ordinary citizens were chosen through a global lottery system. Teachers, doctors, artists, farmers, even a retired carpenter made the cut. Each member brought unique skills and perspectives, symbolizing the idea that this mission belonged to everyone, not just elites or experts. The inclusion of everyday people added a deeply human element to the story. Suddenly, the mission felt less like science fiction and more like a shared dream. People around the world connected with the selected crew members, following their training regimens and learning about their lives. Social media buzzed with posts from fans cheering them on, while news outlets aired profiles highlighting their backgrounds and motivations. One crew member, a single mother who had raised 3 kids while working 2 jobs, captured hearts when she said, "I'm doing this because I want my children to know that no matter where you start, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning." For Musk, leading this eclectic group added another dimension to his role. He wasn't just a CEO or an inventor, he was now a captain, responsible for guiding these individuals across millions of miles of empty space. The weight of that responsibility showed in subtle ways. During training sessions, he pushed himself harder than anyone else, determined to prove he could handle whatever lay ahead. But there were moments when cracks appeared. Late at night, after long days of preparation, he'd retreat to solitude, staring at photos of his own children or scrolling through old messages on his phone. It was clear that beneath the surface, emotions churned. Public reaction remained mixed. While millions cheered Musk's vision, others voiced skepticism. Protesters gathered outside SpaceX headquarters, holding signs that read, "Fix Earth first" and "No escape without accountability." Environmental activists accused him of focusing on Mars while ignoring urgent crises back home. Politicians debated whether private companies should have the power to shape humanity's destiny without government oversight. Even within the scientific community, opinions diverged. Some hailed the mission as a leap forward, while others warned it could set unrealistic expectations for solving Earth's problems by looking to the stars. Amidst the noise, Musk stayed focused, though glimpses of vulnerability slipped through. In rare interviews, he spoke candidly about the enormity of the task ahead. "This isn't just about me," he said in one emotional moment. "It's about giving us a chance, a real chance, to keep going, no matter what happens here." His voice cracked slightly, betraying the depth of his conviction. For all his bravado, it was clear that this mission carried personal significance far beyond professional ambition. As the final weeks ticked down, anticipation reached fever pitch. Billions tuned into live streams showing the spacecraft's final assembly. Workers at SpaceX's Starbase facility put in grueling hours, their faces etched with exhaustion but also pride. Families of the crew gathered for emotional send-offs, knowing that loved ones might never return. And through it all, Musk stood at the center of the storm, a figure both celebrated and scrutinized. By the time the countdown reached its final stretch, the world felt united in a way it hadn't in years. Regardless of opinions about Musk or the mission itself, people couldn't help but marvel at the audacity of it all. Humanity was about to take its first step toward becoming an interplanetary species, and whether it succeeded or failed, nothing would ever be the same again. And ain't. Those final days, as Musk prepared to board the spacecraft that would carry him and his crew into the unknown, the phrase he had uttered during his announcement echoed louder than ever. "Before I go." Its meaning still lingered in the air, unresolved, tantalizing. Whatever secrets it held, they would soon come to light, or remain buried among the stars. With just 2 weeks left until liftoff, the world was holding its breath. SpaceX's facilities buzzed with activity day and night, but amidst the chaos, Elon Musk made a move that nobody saw coming. Late one evening, he released a video message, titled simply, "Before I Go." It wasn't flashy or polished. It was raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. For the first time, Musk peeled back the layers of his public persona and let the world see the man behind the headlines. The video opened with him sitting alone in a dimly lit room. There were no props, no fancy graphics, just him, staring directly into the camera. His face looked thinner than usual, his eyes heavy with emotion. He began to speak slowly, his voice trembling at times, as if he were carrying an invisible weight. What followed was a confession that would ripple across the globe, leaving millions stunned. "I owe you the truth," he said, pausing for a moment before continuing. "For years, I've kept something hidden, not because I wanted to deceive anyone, but because it's hard to talk about." The tension in the air was palpable even through a screen. Viewers leaned closer, their hearts pounding. Then he dropped the bombshell. He had been battling a degenerative disease. Doctors had told him he had mere months to live. The revelation hit like a thunderclap. Suddenly, everything started making sense. The urgency of the Mars mission, the cryptic phrase "before I go," his relentless pace over the past year. This wasn't just a bold leap for humanity. It was Musk's way of confronting his own mortality head-on. He spoke candidly about how the diagnosis had shaken him, forcing him to confront questions he'd always avoided. "What does it mean to leave a mark?" he asked. "How do you measure a life? Is it by what you build or by what you leave behind?" But Musk didn't stop there. After revealing his health struggles, he unveiled another secret, one that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. For years, he explained, he had been working on a classified project codenamed Elysium. The name itself evoked images of paradise, and the reality was no less breathtaking. Elysium was a blueprint for a self-sustaining habitat on Mars, capable of supporting thousands of people. Musk shared detailed renderings and simulations, showcasing innovations far beyond anything publicly disclosed before. The scale of the project was staggering. Solar-powered energy grids, advanced water recycling systems, modular living quarters. It was clear that Musk had poured every ounce of his genius into designing a future where humans could thrive on another planet. But what struck viewers most was the passion in his voice as he described it. "This isn't just about survival," he said. "It's about hope, about giving us a second chance." As the video unfolded, reactions poured in from all corners of the globe. Some praised Musk for his transparency, calling him a visionary who refused to let adversity define him. Others accused him of hoarding groundbreaking technology instead of sharing it sooner. Critics argued that Elysium should have been developed openly, with input from governments and scientists worldwide. Supporters countered that Musk's secrecy was necessary to protect the project from political interference or corporate greed. Yet, beneath the debates and controversies, something profound emerged: empathy. People who had once dismissed Musk as out of touch or egotistical now saw him as human, flawed, vulnerable, and driven by a deep desire to make a difference. Social media lit up with messages of support, prayers, and gratitude. Strangers shared their own stories of loss, illness, and resilience, finding solace in Musk's courage to face his fears. In the final minutes of the video, Musk turned reflective. He spoke about regrets, the missed birthdays, the strained relationships, the moments he wished he could take back. "I'm not perfect," he admitted. "Far from it. But if this mission succeeds, maybe it'll balance the scales. Maybe it'll give my kids and yours a better shot at tomorrow." Then came the line that would haunt viewers long after the video ended. "If I don't return," he said, his voice cracking slightly, "know that I've done everything I could to give us a second chance." With those words, he ended the transmission, leaving the world silent and shaken. Over the next few days, the video dominated headlines and conversations. Millions rewatched it, analyzing every word, searching for clues about Musk's state of mind. Some interpreted his tone as resigned, as though he believed failure was inevitable. Others saw determination, a refusal to let fear dictate his choices. Whatever the truth, one thing was undeniable. Musk had transformed himself from a polarizing figure into someone universally relatable. Behind the scenes, the impact of the video rippled through SpaceX. Employees who had been pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion found renewed purpose. Many confided that hearing Musk open up about his struggles gave them strength to keep going. The crew members preparing for the mission felt a deeper connection to their leader, knowing they were part of something bigger than themselves. Even critics softened their stance, acknowledging the bravery it took to share such intimate truths with the world. As the launch date drew nearer, the atmosphere shifted. The excitement and anticipation were still there, but now they were tinged with sadness, a collective awareness that this might be Musk's final act. People began to wonder, would he survive the journey? Could the mission succeed without him? And if it failed, what would it mean for humanity's dreams of reaching the stars? Despite the uncertainty, one fact remained clear. Musk had ignited a spark. His decision to lay bare his vulnerabilities had reminded people of what truly mattered. Not fame, wealth, or power, but the pursuit of something greater than oneself. Whether he returned from Mars or disappeared into the cosmos forever, his legacy was already taking shape. Through Elysium, through the lives he inspired, and through the sheer audacity of his vision, Musk had planted seeds of hope that would continue to grow long after he was gone. And so, as the countdown entered its final stretch, the world braced itself for what lay ahead. Musk's journey to Mars wasn't just a mission, it was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. The man who dared to dream of the stars had touched hearts in ways no one could have predicted. The day had finally arrived. Months of anticipation, speculation, and preparation culminated in a single moment that would define humanity's next chapter, or perhaps its greatest gamble. The launch site at SpaceX's Starbase facility in Texas was a scene unlike any other. Thousands of people gathered outside the gates, their faces lit by the glow of smartphone screens as they waited to witness history. Some held signs reading, "To Mars and Beyond," and "Thank you, Elon," while others simply stood in silence, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was about to happen. Inside the facility, the air buzzed with nervous energy. Engineers double-checked every system, running final diagnostics on the spacecraft that would carry Musk and his crew into the unknown. The massive rocket towered over the landscape, gleaming under the bright Texas sun. It looked like something out of a science fiction movie, a sleek, futuristic vessel designed not just for exploration but for survival. Cameras captured every angle, broadcasting live feeds to millions around the world who couldn't be there in person but refused to look away. Elon Musk himself appeared thinner than ever, his face pale but resolute. He moved through the pre-launch rituals with quiet determination, shaking hands with engineers, hugging members of the ground team, and taking brief moments to speak with each member of the crew. His demeanor was calm, almost serene, as if he'd made peace with whatever lay ahead. Yet when it came time to say goodbye to his children, emotion broke through his carefully controlled exterior. For a fleeting moment, the world saw tears glisten in his eyes as he hugged them tightly, whispering words too soft for anyone else to hear. There were no other family members present, just him, his kids, and the vast expanse of desert stretching toward the horizon. As Musk climbed aboard the spacecraft alongside the crew, cameras zoomed in on his expression. He didn't smile or wave. Instead, he stared straight ahead, his jaw set firmly. Around him, the crew mirrored his focus, their faces a mix of excitement and apprehension. These weren't seasoned astronauts. They were teachers, farmers, artists, and engineers, ordinary people chosen to represent humanity's collective spirit. Each of them carried hopes and fears, dreams and doubts, knowing full well that this journey might end in triumph or tragedy. At precisely noon, the countdown began. The voice of the mission control operator crackled over loudspeakers, counting down the final seconds. 10, 9, 8. The crowd outside fell silent, holding their breaths. 7, 6, 5. Inside the spacecraft, Musk closed his eyes briefly as if gathering strength. 4, 3, 2. The engines roared to life, sending shockwaves rippling through the ground. And then, with a deafening blast, The rocket ascended into the sky, leaving behind trails of fire and smoke that stretched high into the heavens. For a few heart-stopping minutes, the world held its breath. Would the rocket clear Earth's atmosphere? Would the systems hold up under the intense pressure of liftoff? Then finally confirmation came. The spacecraft had successfully entered orbit. Cheers erupted across the globe. Strangers hugged strangers. Tears streamed down faces, and social media exploded with messages of awe and gratitude. Humanity had taken its first step toward becoming an interplanetary species. But the celebration was short-lived. As the initial euphoria faded, reality set in. This was only the beginning of a 7-month journey to Mars, a voyage fraught with danger and uncertainty. Communication delays between Earth and the spacecraft meant updates wouldn't come in real time. Every transmission would take minutes to travel across the vast distance, creating a sense of isolation that weighed heavily on everyone involved. In the days following the launch, news trickled in slowly. The crew sent back videos and messages, their voices filled with wonder as they described seeing Earth shrink into a tiny blue dot against the blackness of space. They marveled at the silence, the weightlessness, and the surreal beauty of the cosmos. But amidst the awe-inspiring descriptions, there was also tension. Life aboard the spacecraft wasn't easy. Confined quarters, limited resources, and the constant threat of equipment failure tested the crew's resolve. Musk, true to form, worked tirelessly alongside them, troubleshooting problems and keeping morale high. Then, nearly 2 weeks after liftoff, the first major update arrived. Not from Musk, but from the crew. In a video message transmitted back to Earth, one of the astronauts addressed the world. "We've reached a critical milestone," they said, their tone measured but tinged with sadness. "Our leader Elon Musk is no longer with us." The announcement hit like a punch to the gut. Billions froze in disbelief, struggling to process the news. What happened? How could this have occurred so soon? Details were scarce, but the crew explained that complications during the trip had claimed Musk's life. Though they didn't elaborate further, the implication was clear. The man who had poured his soul into this mission had sacrificed everything for it. Back on Earth, reactions varied wildly. Some mourned Musk as a martyr, a visionary who gave his life for humanity's future. Others questioned whether his decision to join the mission had been reckless, arguing that his presence endangered both the crew and the mission itself. Debates raged on social media, in newsrooms, and in living rooms worldwide. Yet, amidst the noise, a profound sense of loss settled over humanity. Love him or hate him, Musk had dared to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. And now, he was gone. Despite the tragedy, the mission continued. Under the leadership of the remaining crew, Elysium became a beacon of hope. Updates revealed that construction of the Martian habitat had begun, using materials transported from Earth and innovative 3D printing technology. Step by step, humanity's first foothold on another planet took shape. Decades later, historians would credit Musk not just with sparking a new era of exploration, but with proving that even in the face of death, dreams could endure. And so, as the red sands of Mars welcomed its first settlers, Elon Musk's final words echoed across generations. "Before I go." Not an ending, but a beginning. A reminder that courage, sacrifice, and vision can inspire change far beyond our lifetimes. Whether viewed as a hero, a flawed genius, or simply a man driven by the desire to leave a mark, Musk's legacy lived on, not just among the stars, but in the hearts of those he left behind. Months turned into years, and the story of Elon Musk's final mission to Mars became etched into humanity's collective memory. The crew he had left behind carried on with a mix of grief and determination, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were fulfilling his vision. Slowly but surely, the red planet began to transform, not just physically, but symbolically. What had once been a distant dream was now a tangible reality, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. The habitat, codenamed Elysium, grew from a mere blueprint into a thriving settlement. Solar panels stretched across the barren landscape, harnessing energy from the distant sun Greenhouses housed crops specially engineered to survive in low gravity and harsh conditions, providing food for the settlers. Modular living quarters connected by pressurized tunnels formed the backbone of the community, creating a safe haven amidst the unforgiving Martian terrain. Each structure bore subtle reminders of Musk's influence. His fingerprints were everywhere, even though he wasn't there to see it himself. Back on Earth, reactions to his death remained deeply divided. Some mourned him as a martyr, a man who gave everything, including his life, for the greater good. Memorials sprang up around the world with people leaving flowers, notes, and candles at SpaceX facilities and other landmarks associated with his legacy. Social media feeds filled with tributes, many quoting his now iconic phrase, "Before I go." It became more than just words. It became a rallying cry for those inspired to push boundaries and chase dreams bigger than themselves. Others, however, questioned whether Musk's decision to join the mission had been reckless. Critics argued that his presence aboard the spacecraft put unnecessary strain on the crew and jeopardized the success of the mission. They pointed out that his leadership could have been better utilized on Earth, guiding SpaceX and Tesla through challenges that still loomed large. Yet, even among skeptics, there was reluctant admiration. Whether you agreed with his methods or not, it was impossible to deny the audacity of what he had attempted and achieved. As time passed, the focus shifted from Musk himself to the broader implications of the Mars mission. Elysium wasn't just a colony. It was proof that humanity could adapt, innovate, and survive beyond Earth. Scientists marveled at the breakthroughs made during the project, from advancements in sustainable energy systems to new techniques for growing food in hostile environments. These innovations didn't stay confined to Mars. They found applications back home, helping tackle some of Earth's most pressing challenges. In a strange twist of fate, Musk's obsession with escaping Earth ended up benefiting the very planet he sought to leave behind. For the crew members who called Elysium home, life was far from easy. Every day brought fresh obstacles, equipment malfunctions, dust storms that lasted for weeks, and the psychological toll of living millions of miles away from Earth. But these hardships only deepened their bond. They worked together, celebrated milestones, and leaned on one another during moments of doubt. Over time, they began to view themselves not just as pioneers but as ambassadors of hope, a reminder that humanity's potential knew no bounds. One particularly poignant moment came when the crew transmitted a video message back to Earth on the second anniversary of their arrival. Standing against the backdrop of the Martian horizon, they shared stories of triumph and loss, of struggles overcome and lessons learned. One crew member, a teacher who had been selected through the global lottery, summed it up perfectly. "We're here because someone believed we could be. Someone took a risk so big that it changed everything, for us, for our children, and for generations to come." That sentiment resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. People began to see Musk's legacy not as a single act of heroism, but as the spark that ignited a movement. Schools started teaching units on space exploration, inspiring young minds to think beyond borders and planets. Entrepreneurs launched startups focused on sustainability and interplanetary travel, citing Musk as their inspiration. Even governments, long criticized for lagging behind private initiatives, began investing heavily in space programs, recognizing the importance of securing humanity's future among the stars. Decades later, historians reflected on Musk's impact with a mix of awe and reverence. They noted how his polarizing personality masked a deeply human desire to matter, to make a difference, to leave something lasting behind. His flaws were undeniable, but so was his brilliance. More importantly, his willingness to embrace vulnerability opened doors for others to do the same. By sharing his fears and regrets, he reminded the world that greatness isn't about perfection, it's about courage. Elysium continued to thrive, evolving into a self-sustaining city that welcomed new waves of settlers every year. Its streets bore names chosen by the original crew, honoring those who had paved the way: scientists, engineers, dreamers, and yes, Elon Musk. A statue of him stood near the central plaza, not as a monument to ego, but as a tribute to resilience. Visitors often paused before it, reflecting on the sacrifices made to get them there. On Earth, the lessons of Musk's journey reverberated through culture and society. Artists painted murals depicting rockets soaring toward the stars. Writers penned novels imagining futures where humanity spanned multiple planets. Philosophers debated the ethics of colonization, grappling with questions about responsibility and stewardship. And ordinary people found solace in the idea that even in the darkest moments, hope could shine through. Perhaps the greatest irony of all was how Musk's quest for Mars ultimately brought humanity closer together. For centuries, divisions over politics, religion, and geography had kept people apart. But staring up at the night sky, knowing that others like them were carving out a new life on another planet, people felt connected in ways they never had before. The mission reminded them that despite their differences, they shared one thing in common: the drive to explore, to create, to endure. In the end, Elon Musk's story wasn't just about reaching Mars, it was about reaching within. He showed the world that progress requires sacrifice, that dreams demand action, and that even the smallest steps can lead to giant leaps. Whether viewed as a genius, a gambler, or simply a man chasing immortality, his legacy endured, not in monuments or accolades, but in the countless lives he touched and the infinite possibilities he unlocked. And so, as humanity looked to the stars, it did so with gratitude for the man who dared to dream and the courage to say, "Before I go,